What is going on, y'all? Gamers Goon here today with your Week 11 NCAA football predictions for this week. Can you believe we're already 11 weeks into the season? Feels like just yesterday we were starting, and now we have the CFP pullout. Like we're in the home stretch. We're in the home stretch. Not that many more weeks until we're talking about playoffs. So big time in college football at the moment. I know you're seeing this Wednesday. We missed out on the midweek action there yesterday. However, we will be back with the MAC next week, but this week not able to do it. Now, in regards to today, we only got one game we're going to talk about Wednesday, which is today, Northern Illinois versus Western Michigan. Now, obviously, Northern Illinois, talked about them a little bit early on in the season after that Notre Dame victory. They have not been particularly great after that. 4-4. Coming off a loss to Ball State. Western Michigan, first in the MAC, just beat Kent State pretty badly. Northern Illinois is 2.5-point favorites, but I do like Western Michigan in this game. Give me Western Michigan to win. And obviously they're going to cover because they're the underdogs. Thursday is our next one. We have one game Thursday we have to talk about because Eastern Carolina versus Florida Atlantic is 7.5, and you know we only talk about the 7s and unders and any top 25s, and Florida Atlantic is a team I don't like. But App State versus Coastal Carolina. App State versus Coastal Carolina. App State, a team that we thought maybe could come into the season and be pretty solid. Same thing, Coastal Carolina. Both these teams have turned out to be very middle of the pack. Both 5-5, competing there for that middle of the pack in the Sun Belt. Coastal Carolina coming off of a loss, App State coming off of a victory. This is a game at Coastal Carolina, so I am going to ride with Coastal Carolina to win at home, even though they are 1-point underdogs. So give me Coastal Carolina to win. Next, we get California just at that 7 mark. Just at that 7 mark against Wake Forest. Cal wins this game, wins it big. I know Cal's 4-4, Wake Forest is 4-4. I think Cal is a lot better than the 4-4 they are given. They beat Oregon State pretty badly. They had that NC State loss. They lost to Pittsburgh on that fluky game. They lost to Miami. Their one bad loss was Florida State. But I think they're better than Wake Forest. Cal wins big. I like them to cover that 7 points. Give me Cal Golden Bears. Next, we get to Iowa versus UCLA. These games are on Friday, by the way. Iowa versus UCLA. Iowa's been blowing teams out. They've been blowing teams out. 42-10 against Wisconsin. 42. Obviously, we know that their defense is pretty solid. It usually is. It's kind of been opposite this year because they've been able to put up the points. They give up 20 points to Michigan State. They've given up 21 points to Troy. But their offense has been existent this year. 6-3. UCLA, on the other hand, 3-5. Not very good. Coming off of a tough Nebraska win on the road. UCLA at home against Iowa. You'd think UCLA might have a chance. Iowa, though, I think they're too much to handle. I think they're a lot better than their record. I think they win and cover the 6 points there. New Mexico versus San Diego State. San Diego State, 2.5-point favorites, hosting this game. New Mexico, 3-6. San Diego State, 3-5. Nobody is going to be watching this game, more than likely. I don't really care. I'm going to go with the home team. Give me San Diego State to win and cover that game. Next, we get to Saturday. We got the 25th ranked Army. Believe it or not, they are top 25. Going up against North Texas. Now, North Texas, we don't get to talk about them much, but you know this is one of the teams I got a little bit of a soft spot for. They are 5-3. Not a bad team. Are they going to beat Army? Army just plays such a different style of football that I just don't see it happening for North Texas. North Texas, if you look at them this year, they've been putting up points. They've been putting up points. They 37-44, 37 44 2 weeks ago, 37 last week. Florida Atlantic, they put up 41, put up 52 in a game, 44 in a game. Their lowest total of the season was 21 points. They can score. But I think Army is just going to slow the game down. They're going to win the game pretty easily. Give me Army to win and cover the 5.5-point favorites there. Next, we get Oregon. Oregon versus Maryland. Maryland traveling to Eugene. Oregon coming off of yet another victory at the Big House, 38-17. You kind of see this with Oregon where they get a lead and then they kind of dial it back. Don't want to show too much of the playbook. I expect that to be the case here against Maryland. Should be a good game for Oregon. Even without Tez Johnson playing, did go down. Trayshawn Holden, Evan Stewart, Justice Lowe, those guys should be guys to step up. I'm not too concerned as an Oregon fan. 25.5-point favorites. Don't love that line because Dan Lanning does like to dial it back a little bit there in the second half. So I am going to say they don't win by that, but they will beat Maryland probably about 21 points. So give me Oregon to win. Florida versus Texas. Texas 21.5-point favorites hosting this game. 7-1 Texas versus Florida 4-4. Texas obviously barely scathed past Vanderbilt last time. Florida on the other hand, these guys are 4-4. Last time out, they played tough there for a little bit against Georgia. Might see something similar here for them against Texas, but ultimately Texas will come out on top. Don't think it's going to be 21.5. Syracuse versus Boston College, only a 2-point game in the favor of Boston College, who is hosting. Syracuse 6-2, Boston College 4-4. Boston College is hosting, but I do like Syracuse to win. Give me the orange. Minnesota versus Rutgers. Minnesota just knocked Illinois out of the ranked teams. Rutgers 4-4, hasn't been a great year for them. Minnesota has really been solid lately. I like Minnesota. I think they're going to be pretty solid down the home stretch. Give me Minnesota to win and clear the 6-point spread. Texas State versus Louisiana Monroe, just on the edge of one we got to talk about. It's number 7. 4-4 Texas State versus Louisiana Monroe, 5-3. Give me Louisiana Monroe. It is a home game. Texas State is favored at 7 points in this, but I do like Louisiana Monroe to win. Miami versus Georgia Tech. Miami 9-0, number 4 in the country right now. Number 4 in the country. Georgia Tech 5-4. Georgia Tech is one of those sneaky teams, can do something. This is either going to one of two ways. Miami either blows them out or Georgia Tech keeps it close and wins it late. I think Miami's probably going to blow them out, so I'm going to ride with Miami to win and cover the 11-point spread. Next, we get Navy versus South Florida. Navy, 3-point favorites against South Florida. South Florida, 4-4. Navy, 6-2. Navy, it is a road game for them, but I do like them to win. 3-point favorites. I tend to think they win this game by about 7, so give me Navy to win and cover. West Virginia versus Cincinnati, 4.5-point favorites in that game is Cincinnati, the home team. I tend to like that. Give me Cincinnati. UConn versus UAB. UConn, a little bit of a surprise this year. 6-3, UAB 2-6. UConn favored 6.5. I do like UConn to win. I think I'll take the 6.5 as well. Georgia versus Ole Miss, a 2.5-point favorite for Georgia, going up against Ole Miss. Ole Miss coming off of a domination of Arkansas. Georgia, it's been a little shaky. It's going to be a little shaky. Ole Miss, a decent enough team. I expect Ole Miss to win this game. Give me Ole Miss to win at home. Big shocker, huh? I'm going with the Rebels. Clemson versus Virginia Tech. Clemson is number 23 in the country, 6.5-point favorites against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech obviously is a capable team. Almost beat Miami earlier this year. Should have beat Miami earlier this year. I like them in this game. It is a home game for them. I got the upset. 6.5 points favorites for Clemson. Forget all that. Give me Virginia Tech. Duke versus NC State. Duke is 6-3, NC State 5-4. NC State was this dark horse team to make a run in the playoffs, and that hasn't been that team. Duke, I don't know if they still have a chance, but I think they will win this game and give themselves a chance to get there to that conference championship game. Michigan versus Indiana. Michigan versus Indiana. 14-point favorites for Indiana. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. I think Michigan, their defense is going to have to come to play. Will Johnson is going to have to be healthy. Offensively, I don't see Michigan. I don't know how they keep up with Indiana unless they're able to slow Indiana down. If Indiana goes out there and puts up 35 points, I don't know how Michigan does it. The only way they would be able to do it is a couple pop-off runs from Donovan Edwards and Mullins back there. I don't see that happening. They only get like 1 or 2 a game. Really good opportunities for a pop-off run. Don't see it happening. Give me Indiana to win. I do not believe they're going to cover that 14-point spread, though. San Jose State going up against Oregon State, 3-point favorites. Oregon State, home game for them. I like that line. Give me Oregon State. Even though they have a worse record this year than San Jose State, I think Oregon State can get the job done. Iowa State versus Kansas. Iowa State 3-point favorites. Kansas 2-6, not looking good. They play teams close. That's one thing I'll give them. Iowa State kind of fits the same bill. Lost to Texas Tech. Give me Kansas to win. I'm gonna keep riding with Kansas. I need Kansas to win one of these games. Finally, they're a tough team. They just are playing tough teams that they can't beat. They're gonna beat one of these tough teams, and people are like, how did Kansas beat them? Kansas hasn't been bad. They just can't win in the clutch. UTEP versus Kennesaw State. UTEP hosting, 3.5-point favorites for UTEP. Kennesaw State, 1-win team. UTEP, 1-win team. Coin flip. Give me UTEP. It's the home team. Colorado, number 20th in the country, going up against Texas Tech. 3.5-point favorites against Texas Tech. Both are 6-win teams. Colorado, a 2-loss. Texas Tech, 3 losses. Texas Tech coming off of that Iowa State win. Colorado, they're having a good year, don't get me wrong. But Texas Tech, I like them in this game. Give me Texas Tech. South Carolina versus Vandy. South Carolina coming off a big win. Vandy coming off of a win against Auburn. South Carolina obviously got the A&M win. Both teams are tough. South Carolina, the one looking from the outside right now in getting into a bowl game. I think they do it. I got South Carolina winning and covering the 3.5 this week. Let's see. What's the next one to talk about? Mississippi State versus Tennessee. Tennessee, 7-1. Mississippi State blew out UMass last time, which kind of disregard that. They haven't been great this year. Tennessee also struggled a little bit this year. This could be a game that's going to be played within that 24-point margin. I still like Tennessee to win, but I think Mississippi State can make it a little bit of a game. Next, we got Arizona State hosting UCF as a 3-point favorite. Arizona State, I tend to like them. They are 6-2. UCF 4-5. Arizona State, they've had a decent little season. I like them to win. Give me Arizona State to win and cover. Alabama versus LSU. This is going to be the shocker of the week. Alabama 3-point favorites. Give me LSU. I like LSU at home. Alabama hasn't been great this season. DeBoer hasn't won the big game yet. Give me. I guess he beat Georgia. He beat Georgia. Sure, he did beat Georgia. But you know what else he did right after Georgia? He went on and played a tough Tennessee team and lost. He went on and played a tough Vanderbilt team and lost. He hasn't been this spectacular. I mean, he set you up great success to beat one of the best teams in the country in Georgia. But guess what? LSU can compete too. Give me LSU to win. Notre Dame versus Florida State. Notre Dame 26.5-point favorites. Florida State 1 win this season. I cannot believe people thought this team was a playoff team. And I was right there with you. I thought they'd be a decent little team, but no, they're terrible. Notre Dame wins big. Give me 26.5 is kind of big. That's real big. I'll ride with it. Why not? Gotta be a little gutsy here and every now and then. Oklahoma 2.5-point favorites against number 24 Missouri. Missouri hasn't been good. I tend to like it. Give me Oklahoma. Boise State 24-point favorites against Nevada. Pretty much all you got to do go against Boise State is just completely load the box and don't let Ashton Jeanty do anything. But they did that last week, and Capers, the receiver there for Boise State, had 3 touchdowns. It's going to be hard to stop them. Boise State wins. Don't know if they'll cover. Penn State versus Washington. Penn State coming off that brutal loss. Brutal loss. James Franklin starting to struggle. Fans ain't having it. There's a little bit of a altercation after the game there with Franklin and some fans getting into it about. There was a fan talking crap to him, and he asked for his name, and kid just walked away. Fans they're not having it with Franklin at the moment. They're not having it. Number 6 in the country, though. Still a good team, good defense. Played close against Ohio State. Can't knock the guy. But they're going to beat Washington. They're going to be fine. Washington, they got a lot of problems on their own. Penn State is just the new problem this week. Penn State wins big. Pittsburgh versus Virginia. 7.5-point favorites for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, they were the frauds that I thought they were. SMU, I've been telling y'all about this SMU team. I've been saying SMU. Nobody wanted to listen. Listen to me now. Pittsburgh wins this Virginia game. SMU is one of them teams. They're one of them teams. Don't you confuse it. They are one of them teams. BYU versus Utah. Let's talk about another one of them teams. BYU is one of those teams. They're one of those teams. 4-point favorites for BYU. Love them in this game against Utah. Think they clear the 4-point spread. Give me BYU. Give me the Cougars. And last but not least, we have number 21, Washington State, 20.5-point favorites going up against Utah State. Utah State 2-6. Pretty easy there. Washington State wins. Should win big. Only one loss this season from them. You don't really hear much about them. Their one loss is to Boise State. So, the one tough team they played, pretty much. I guess they played Texas Tech, Washington. I mean, they're not a bad team. Washington State hasn't had a bad year, but you don't really hear about them. So, I mean, it is what it is. Anyways, thank you for watching. You'll see this video in about 30 minutes to an hour from now. But thank you for watching. I will see you all next time. Make sure tomorrow you tune in for the NFL video. I will be putting it up a little earlier than usual because I will be out of town tomorrow afternoon. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.